Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have in the studio with us today Michelle Caswell. She's president and founder of Purely His Ministry. By the way, that is the website, purelyhisministry.com, and you may want to jot that down and have it available, purelyhisministry.com. Michelle, hi.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Good to see you. Well, this is very interesting. What's the story behind Purely His Ministry? What happened?
Well, I think the story behind Purely His Ministry is my story. Yeah. So this ministry was birthed out of my own pain and the own trauma that I've gone through, and then of course the immense healing that I've experienced. And so I used to be a drug addict and was for 16 years, and I was addicted to men and pornography and everything that went along with that, and experienced all the consequences from that kind of lifestyle. Wow. So I used to be just a horrible mom. I was a single mom, and my two kids have two different fathers, and experienced going through two different abortions and divorces, and I mean, you name it, my life was just an absolute mess. And wow. The cool part about my story is that up until 6 years old, I was raised in a Christian home, and so I knew Jesus, and I loved him, and I could talk to him, and he talked to me, and I just knew he was always there. And so even though my life took a completely different path, I always knew where to come back to. And so I would always try to go to church and try to be involved, but I was always that girl in the back seat of the church, that the back pew that would just go in and cry and pray and go to the altar and get re-saved again. And but the thing that I missed is that I never made relationships in the church, and nobody ever knew my name. So I went to one church for like 4 years, and one person knew my name. And so I didn't realize that church was a place for fellowship. I didn't realize that there was mentoring available or discipleship available. I thought I had to get good. I thought I had to do all these things in order to somehow get into heaven or somehow get to be involved in ministry. And when I made all those really bad decisions, I thought God would never use somebody like me. And so I had no idea that God used women like me. And wow. So anyways, God totally intervened in my life and met me at a time where I had hit rock bottom again. I was 30 years old and was just done again. And so I was coming out of another abusive relationship, and I was strung out on meth. I had been using meth for 4 years at that time, and I just always thought I was a party girl, and just there's nothing wrong going to the clubs and whatever, as long as my kids are taken care of, just going to the clubs and doing what I do. And I was just a fun party girl. But when I started doing meth every day, I knew I was a drug addict. And so anyways, God intervened right at that time. I was like 90 pounds at the time, and I had mental illnesses, and things were just really, really bad. And that is when he met me. That is when he, put out his hand and pulled me out of that old lifestyle. And he did it through women. He did it through older, godly women that actually were willing to take a chance on me. And so because they did, they were able to help me get into a Christian rehab. And I thought I was going for a month, but God had another plan. And I went for a year and a half. And wow. During that time, I went all in with Jesus and got unstuck from a lot of different things that were preventing me from being all that he had called me to be. And that is where I learned that he had a call on my life. And I knew that he wanted me to share my story, and I knew that he wanted me to take other people by the hand and pull them out. And so I've been doing that for 8.5 years now. I've been clean and sober, and in full-time ministry for 8.5 years now. And
wow, I mean, there's so much here. I'm trying to figure out where to go. Let me go towards the, when you finally hit rock bottom, you said again, the third time or whatever. What happened that you realized, all right, I got it, this is it, no more? What happened?
That's a long story in itself as well, but I was in the process of really crying out to the Lord, because I never, even through all of my addictions and my really hard lifestyle, I never stopped praying to the Lord. So I always had that connection, and I could always hear him and always sense him. And I was really crying out to the Lord, just like, please God, take me out of this life, like please help me. And I was completely strung out, but praying and worshiping and doing all this stuff. And
so when I'm also,
all of a sudden,
excuse me, what I'm also hearing you say is there was no instant thing here. this was a process?
No.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, there was a couple of key moments. So one of them was that time when I was just really crying out to the Lord, and I thought, okay, things are going to change. He's going to pull me out of this. I still believe that He's a miracle working God, and I know that He can do this, and if anyone can do this, He can. And all of a sudden I lost my job and couldn't get another one. Then my car was stolen, and then my electricity was turned off, then my phone was turned off, and all these things were happening. I'm like, I'm praying, like, what is happening? Well, what it was is God was closing all those doors because He was leading me a different direction. And so so that was one key moment that got me to get out of that city and get into the country. And I moved in with my dad and with my stepmom. And it was there when I started going to a church where I went to this profound women's ministry. I went to a women's retreat. And it was there where I confessed all of these things to these women. It's like, this is who I really am. And there's a big story behind that, and I don't have time to go into it. But I told them everything of, what I was doing. And, as my head was held down in shame, I didn't want to look at anybody's faces. All 30 of these women at this women's retreat got up, and instead of asking me to leave because of what they had just heard, they all laid hands on me and began praying over me and praying blessings over me and speaking hope over my life. And it was from that moment where they touched me when I was untouchable, and they loved me when I was unlovable. And it was from that moment that literally my life changed and has never been the same.
Out of that has come Purely His
Yes.
Ministries, and purelyhisministry.com is the website. What do you do? What is Purely His? What do you do?
So I take people by the hand and I pull them out of old lifestyles. So because of what I've gone through, I have my own circle of influence. And so I encourage other people to go out there and reach their circle of influence. And so Purely His ministry is a discipleship ministry. We're a mentoring ministry. And what we do is we have small mentoring groups all over the place. Right now we have 4 groups going at the Naz Church here in Medford. And we have 4 groups going in the Portland area, which is where I'm actually from. And we have 7 groups getting to launch again here in January. And so these mentoring groups are very small groups with a purpose. They're closed groups. So once somebody signs up, they commit to 5 months, 1 time a week. And in that group time, we drop our mask and we keep it real, including the leaders. So these leaders come from backgrounds like myself or other backgrounds where they're willing to share that with other people. There's a curriculum that I designed that goes through these 5 steps that they'll go through. But these are very Holy Spirit-led groups. So if they're going down a different direction that's not on the curriculum, I just tell them, chuck that thing, because it's more important to do what God is asking you to do at that time. And so the heart behind these groups is to go all in with Jesus and get unstuck from anything in the way of that. So we do not deal with the symptoms, we deal with the root of the issue. So like, we don't deal with the drug addiction, self-harm, divorces, eating disorders and things like that. We deal with what caused that, and we talk about that and help them get unstuck from that.
Wow. And how long are these? As long as it takes?
They are 5 months, 1 time a week, but they're very relational. So these groups, they meet once a week for 2 hours at a time, but we encourage relationships outside of that. So they have to contact each other throughout the week. So there's a lot of accountability that's involved.
Wow. We're going to have you back. This is too short. Let me ask you this. How did it happen? If you're raised in a Christian home, how did it happen?
Well, I believe that my mom and dad both have a high calling on their life, and so they were in full-time ministry at the time. My mom was actually the one who led my dad to the Lord, and she got tempted by sin and ended up cheating on my dad, and their marriage broke up. And so at 6 years old, I went from a daddy's girl to not having my dad hardly around at all. And so anyways, when my mom left my dad, she also left God and everything else. And so I really just feel like it was an attack on our family. But praise God, they're doing awesome now. So they're not together or anything, but both my dad and mom are clean and sober now and totally serving the Lord. And so the Lord has done miracles all throughout my family. So.
What a story. What a story. What can you say to the person who needs you but doesn't know if they could call you, but they should?
I love talking to those people. So because of my past and things I've gone through, there really is no one that I can't relate to. And sometimes when I'm sharing my story, people think that this ministry is just for people who are drug addicts or sex addicts or whatever. It's not just for that. So our groups are very diverse in age and in background. So we have current drug addicts right now, and we have pastors right now that are in the exact same group. So this is for anyone. This is for anyone who really wants to go all in with Jesus, but something has them held back. So whatever that is, this is a really good place for them.
How can they make that initial contact, you know, with the understanding that it's secure? Should they contact you through the emails or through the website?
Yes. So they can go to the website. They can also email me personally at info@purelyhisministry.com.
Okay. purelyhisministry.com or info@purelyhisministries.com. Michelle, this is remarkable. Wow. And I'm sure you've helped some people out of lifestyles, and it must be incredibly rewarding.
It is. It's my favorite thing to do. So I've been doing this ever since I went all in. And I went all in a drug rehab. And ever since then, I just keep being raised up, and I've done tons of mentoring. So yes, it's been awesome. I've seen drug addicts that are now in full-time ministry, and I've seen marriages restored, and I have seen so many miracles. I could literally just be on here for 1 hour just telling you all the different miracles I've seen in people's lives. It's really incredible. What's happening in these groups are absolute miracles.
You are another living, testifying example of something I've said on radio and television for over 30 years, and that is whatever God saves you from or brings you through, He turns around and makes you a minister too.
Yeah.
And so God doesn't waste anything.
No.
You thought you were done, and you were just beginning.
Yeah.
I only got a couple seconds left. How hopeless were you?
Oh man. I had about, a mustard seed of faith left, or mustard seed of hope, because I was always one of those people who turned lemons into lemonade. But I was like, how in the world am I ever going to get out of this? How in the world am I ever even going to be able to get into heaven, let alone, come out of this lifestyle? So yeah, it was pretty bad.
Okay. Well, there's hope for you. Purelyhisministry.com, or if you want to talk to Michelle directly, just go to info@purelyhisministry.com, and you can send her an email there. Thank you. Will you come back?
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Hey, welcome back. Today is a very special day here at the Dove. We've been given the opportunity to share a movie, a documentary that has been put together to play in selected theaters around the country, but also to be shown in universities around the country. And it is called Israel Indivisible. Now, this was put out by Proclaim Justice to the Nation. As you know, we've had Laurie Cardoza-Moore on quite often. She's a regular guest here on Focus Today. And her ministry had worked hard on putting this documentary together. And we have been given the okay to air it on a special showing tonight on the Dove TV. Now, it'll be at 8 o'clock, and you can see it. If you can certainly stream it on your computer. Just go to thedove.us. We have live streaming there, both radio and TV. You can watch it if you're a charter cable subscriber. It'll be on channel 18 for Jackson, Josephine, and Klamath counties. You can watch it on Roku if you have a Roku. You'll see it there. If you have a UHF receiver, it's channel 18 on UHF. So there's a lot of ways for you to watch it. And this is quite a movie, and we are really honored that we've been given the rights to air it tonight. So there's a trailer here. It's about a 6-minute trailer. And I want to play that, and then we'll take a break. When we come back, Laurie and Stan Moore will join us live to give us more of a background on this documentary. So here's the trailer to Israel Indivisible.
Get out of your country to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. Lift your eyes now and look from the place where you are, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. For all the land which you see, I give to you and your descendants forever.
The miracle of our age is that after 2,000 years ago, against all odds, with all the pogroms and with the heinous Holocaust, the Jews came back and reunited with a very small remnant of Jewish people that was here throughout this 2,000 years of exile. And I think the miracle is that it is all authorized and it is all written in the Bible.
If you read through the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis, which predates the scriptures of any other contemporary faith, you will find in the narrative of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the biblical statement that God promised this land to these fathers for their seed forever and ever.
Here we are standing in the city of David, outside the walls of the old city. But in fact, this little hill outside the walls of the old city is Jerusalem from the Bible. When we want to understand where's the proof of the Jewish people in this land, going back 2,000 years, 630 years before Islam was even invented, here I hold a coin in my hand which I carry with me every day. This coin says on it, it was minted by Rome 27 times, it says Judea capta. Jews, or Judah, is captured. 2,000 years ago, my people, the Jewish people, we had already been living in this land for 1,100 years. This had been our home for over a millennia. Today, when we come back to this land, we're simply picking up this exact same journey and beginning from where we left off. We're back in Zion, the Jewish people are back home.
Jerusalem was taken in the second year of Vespasian's reign. Titus had taken the city 1,179 years after King David. He ordered the entire city and the temple smashed to the ground, leaving only the tallest of the towers standing and part of the western wall to show posterity, the strong defenses which had yielded to the Romans. Flavius Josephus.
When you fight a clash of civilization, when you fight a religious war, the effort to distort the past, to distort history, to distort the truth, to distort religion are as important as long-range missiles in the current war. Therefore, the temple, according to the Palestinians, never stood on Temple Mount. The Israel kingdom never was here. King David wasn't here. Everything started with the Muslim and will end with the Muslim. All the rest is not history, not existent.
This right that the Jews have to the land of Israel is founded not only in historical rights of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, that we are the only people who ever had a sovereign state here, ever, but also in international law. And when you see a Jewish people who, after 2,000 years of dispersion, has reunited and it's working and it's worked and it's glorious. I'm excited about the opportunities to live in this land when we've done it.
The founder of Israel said that in our time, if somebody does not believe in miracles, he is not realistic. Reality is miracle here. We cannot judge this situation always in logic, because something very special is happening here.
Well, there you go. Israel Indivisible, and that'll be aired tonight on the Dove TV, and it's going to be at 8 o'clock. Now, I would suggest this: if you're a homeschooler, you got to watch this with your students. If you are middle school, high school, college, family, whatever, it's very, very unusual that we would be given the rights to air this for this particular showing. And Laurie and Stan Moore, who are behind the film and head up Proclaim Justice to the Nation, they're going to be with us here in a few moments live from their offices. But we're going to air this on the Dove TV starting at 8 o'clock. There are two versions of it. We're going to air the long version, the complete version. So it's a little over, it's around just a little over an hour. And that'll be aired tonight at 8 o'clock. You can watch it online at theDove.us, live streaming there. You can go, if you're a Charter subscriber, of course, we're on Channel 18 on the Charter cable system for Jackson, Josephine, and Klamath counties. UHF Channel 18. And, of course, if you have Roku, you can watch it there. But let me encourage you to take the time to watch it. It's incredible. What they have done with this documentary is show the history of Israel in a way that perhaps you've never seen it before. And I understand the response in some college university has just been astounding. So we'll talk to them about that. All that's happening tonight. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, and then Stan and Laurie Moore will be with us from Proclaim Justice to the Nations, and we'll find out all about the making of that particular documentary. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at the Dove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on the Dove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, welcome back. And again, as we just aired a few moments ago, that trailer on Israel Indivisible and the special showing that'll air on the Dove TV network starting tonight, I want to say this comes from just some really special people that we've come to love and appreciate and support. And that's Laurie Cardoza-Moore and her husband Stan, head up Proclaim Justice to the Nations. And this is their passion and their work. And this movie, this documentary is really turning a lot of heads. And so I just want to say, first of all, Laurie and Stan, thank you so much for letting us air this tonight. Can't wait to see it all.
Absolutely, Perry. We're so excited that you all are going to be able to broadcast it and share it with your audience as well. It's an important film, and it's timely, especially with everything that is going on in the Middle East. You know, it just never seems to get better and only worse. And with the recent attacks in France, we just got off the phone with Ireland. They're going to be doing a screening of the documentary on the 29th of January in Tipperary, Ireland. And we're going to go Skype. We're going to do a Q&A Skype session with them as well. And, you know, Perry, it's amazing because we put the film out there. It was broadcast on God TV, and here was a gentleman, a young Christian man, who saw the film. He works at a theater in Tipperary, and they had just had a pro-Palestinian film. And so as God would have it, he's sitting watching God TV one day, the documentary broadcast. He contacted us right after the film and said, we need to show this film here. There's a rise of anti-Semitism. There's an issue within Ireland of replacement theology. Wow. Christians are buying into the narrative of the Palestinians having rights to the land. And, you know, the film is so critically important because we do show the historical, archaeological, legal, and biblical evidence to prove Israel's rights to the land. And, of course, everybody, just like the BBC reporter Wilcox made that statement, basically suggesting that, you know, the Israelis are no better than the Palestinians because of the way they treat them. I mean, it's just, it's very sad, and it all comes back to the lack of history, the lack of information, of knowledge.
Amazing. Stan, good to see you too, friend. Tell us a little bit about the making of this film. How long did it take you? And I'm sure it was with no challenges.
Well, it was actually 4,000 years in the making. Basically, I traced back. What I mean by that is I traced back 4,000 years into the archaeological aspect of Israel and showing that the land, you know, basically that they were there long time ago, and basically they're only people that have survived that have really been there that long. And so I guess you asked, the making of the film, you know, took, I guess, what, eight months, I would say. But we'd actually shot some of this stuff earlier, and like I said, I've used several things, you know, that previously that we had shot. So it kind of came together within an 8-month period.
Amazing. Now, Laurie, you have showed this at the university there in Israel, haven't you?
Yes, Ariel University, which is in Judea and Samaria, otherwise known by the world as the West Bank. And of course, when we premiered it there, we took the film to Ariel because it is located. This is a world-renowned university. They've got incredible research in their medical and science departments. They're taking on the issues of myeloma cancer, doing research with regards to it. So we decided to do the screening there because we were telling the story of Israel, and who better to show the film or premiere or do a focus group screening than the people who are actually living in the land trying to defend their biblical inheritance, their biblical rights, their historical rights. Even the archaeological evidence bears it out. And the response from the chancellor of the university was astounding. He said, we've never done a screening for a film at our university. And he said, for you to bring this one, he said, it is an honor to see that people like yourselves, Christians, a Christian organization, is willing to stand with us and help us take this message to the world. And so it was an honor, such a blessing. In fact, the next day they invite us. They were so impressed. They invited us back to the university to show us around. They gave us a tour. They fed us lunch. It was absolutely wonderful. So we have some new friends in Ariel.
That's wonderful. You know, the constant argument of a two-state Israel, it continues to be out there. And when you see this film, you realize, wait a minute, it not only can't happen, we're far from where the original real estate lines should be. What were the students thinking about this? What do students think about a two-state Israel?
Want to take?
You talked to them more than I did.
The students also were encouraged. The interesting thing about Ariel University, not only do they have a top-of-the-line science department, but they also have a communications department with state-of-the-art equipment. And they were so inspired by the film that it encouraged them to try to take this message and push this message out. The sad thing about our Jewish brethren living in the land is they don't always get to see what the world is doing to defend them. They hear all the negative comments. They watch the news around the world. And so it can be daunting for them. It can be overwhelming and discouraging. But when they saw that we were able and willing to produce an award-winning film, and that the film is going to be broadcasting in over 200 countries around the world on places like Dove TV, they were so inspired and encouraged to also take this issue up and try to push it out through the media to their sphere or their generation, because we get this, and some within our generation, Perry, don't get it.
Right.
But we don't pass this information down. If we don't teach this to our children and our children's children, both in the Jewish community and the Christian community, because really both of our communities have bought into the lies that there is going to be no peace without a two-state solution. But what we fail to recognize and what we fail to communicate, and even the press, the media, fails and refuses to report that there are Arabs who live in Israel proper, in the area of Israel where the IDF soldiers are patrolling, where Israel has rights over that land, that territory. Those Arabs, like the Arab students at Ariel University is not just comprised of Jewish students. There are Arab students who attend that university with Jewish students, and guess what? They all get along.
It must be interesting to them that an American Christian organization would bring them their history. That's got to be a little bit of a mind-tilting experience.
Well, I think it is. And of course, I hear from them, they say, they can't believe that a Christian organization, I hear this repeated over and over and over. But what's interesting is we have given several copies to Israeli leaders that have come here to the United States. And we've given them several copies of this documentary. The interesting thing I'm seeing, Perry, and can I, directly tie it back to the content of this documentary film? I don't know, but I will tell you that even the information coming out of the Israeli government is starting to change. In fact, when the slaughter of those rabbis happened in that synagogue in Jerusalem, Ron Dermer came out and made a statement I have never heard an elected official or an Israeli official state, and that was that we were attacked in our nation's capital. Now, I've heard the Israeli leaders say that Jerusalem is the capital. It always has been the capital of Israel. But for him to use the term, we were attacked in a synagogue in our nation's capital. And then he used the analogy of it would be likened to a terrorist attack happening in the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America. So I'm starting to see and hear a different narrative coming out about the biblical rights, about the archaeological rights, about the historical rights. And, is it a coincidence? Well, coincidence isn't in the Bible. But here we have this film that was produced by Christians who are communicating to the world, because this documentary, like I said, has broadcast in over 200 countries, reaching over 500 million homes over the last year since the release at the NRB last February. This film has broadcast. And so now the message is going out. Now the facts are going out. Now the truth is going out. And I think what's happening is that the Israelis now are starting to say, we need to be communicating this same narrative. And it would benefit them if they would, because this is history. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. It is what it is. And history, the archaeological evidence, bears out the truth that we find within the text of Scripture.
Wonderful. Let me take a quick break, and we'll be back with Stan and Laurie Moore. Their organization, Proclaim Justice to the Nation, has produced this film, and it's going to air tonight on the Dove TV network at 8 o'clock. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and what a delight to have with us today Stan and Laurie Moore. They head up Proclaim Justice to the Nations, and which in itself is a tremendous organization with great resources. You might want to check out their website. And they have produced a movie called Israel Indivisible, and it is the case for the Ancient Homeland. And we're going to air it tonight. We've been given the authorization by them to air it on the Dove TV network tonight at 8 o'clock. You're not going to want to miss this. And I think it's going to be a DVD you're going to want to have in your library. If you're a homeschooler, you're a parent, you're a student, you're going to want to have this because it really gives the case. And they've done a remarkable job in getting this out. Stan, I know you kind of work hard behind the scenes. Making movies being what it is, I'm sure you had your technical challenges, but did you have any challenges in getting people to talk when you were interviewing them?
No, actually, you know, Laurie's the one that does the interviews, and she can make anybody talk. She holds a light in front of them and drops water on them and stuff like that, and they come right out. You know, she's great, and you know, who doesn't want to talk to Laurie, right? I mean, look at it, you know. So we said they could air the film. Are you sure? No, no, speak. But no, like I said, we didn't really have. You know, we really didn't. One of the things is we really didn't talk to people that didn't want to talk to us on this film. On our BDS documentary, we are going to be talking to some people that don't want to talk to us. We'll be able to drag it out of. But on this one, we really hit people that really wanted to speak about this.
How did it impact you guys? Because when you actually make a film like this, I think you walk away changed. You realize, wait a minute, these people have really paid a price for their existence. They continue to pay a price for their existence. There is a special anointing and protection over the top of them in spite of the persecutions. It is a unique place on the face of the planet. And their passion for who they are and their history is to be totally respected, and yet it's not. I mean, it probably changed you too, didn't it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the thing is like when I see Christians that come against Israel, I go, what Bible are you reading anyway? And how many pages do you have to tear out? Let's see. I mean, because how many references to Israel and the whole replacement theology thing is just kind of baffles me. It's like, what is that? Where does that come from? So yeah, it was great to, you know, once again, I love learning stuff, and making this film helped me learn, you know, quite a bit, especially about, you know, one of the biggest things is some of the legal documents, such as San Remo and other, you know, legal things that basically say that we gave the land before even the United Nations, you know, even got involved. So,
wow.
And then another really crazy point that you'll see in the film is how Robert F. Kennedy was actually killed by a Palestinian on the very one-year anniversary of the Six-Day War, which was really strange when you think about that. And that's because Robert Kennedy was a major supporter of Israel. He loved Israel. So you'll see that in the film, which kind of blew me away when I found that out.
I never connected those dots. Wow.
Yeah, Sirhan. We all remember that because we were alive when that event happened.
Right.
So when you see that in the context of the film, I mean, we didn't know. I had no idea that Robert Kennedy was a big pro-Israel supporter. I think something you should also communicate about is one of the struggles that we found today now is that as we produce these films that are based on the text of Scripture, like Stan said, you know, how many pages do Christians have to tear out of their Bible to support their pro-Palestinian position on this? And we're not anti the Arabs are anti the Palestinians. God gave them a piece of land, but that piece of land is east of Israel. It's not in Israel proper. But, you know, now we're having to confront Christians like Mark Green with Hobby Lobby, who is funding to the tune of, what, $20 million propaganda films that fly in the face of the text of Scripture.
Whoa. Whoa. Hey, before we forget, where can people get a copy of the DVD? How can they buy a copy of this?
Well, they can go to the website at pjtn.org and just go to the store page. They can order copies. If anybody orders them in bulk, there's discounts for that. But as you said, Perry, you know, we've talked about the disinformation campaign going on in our country, in the West, in our schools. And we're finding that the historical evidence to support what we have established or what we're claiming in the film is not being taught to our children. So it's important. We're encouraging parents to order a copy, order several copies, distribute them to your friends and family. Invite, you know, if you've got a home group that meets for Bible study or prayer, bring the, show the film and have a discussion afterwards. Look up the text of Scripture to make sure that we're putting this in proper context. But I think it's important that we share this with our children and our children's children, even if we don't have children in the public school system, or even if they're homeschooled or are in private schools. This story has to be told, and we have to hand this down to the next generation.
All right, pjtn.org, and you can order DVDs there. Are you going to do a sequel?
Oh, I don't know. I think the next sequel is the whole boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement to see how the nations, how leaders, even Christian leaders, have bought into this whole narrative and are pushing, just like the Presbyterian Church and others who are pushing to divest from Israel's rights to her ancient homeland.
It's an apartheid state. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's what the world tells us.
Let me ask you this, just to go a little bit more to current events. It appears that this president wants to impose sanctions on Israel. At least it's been out there. I'm sure you heard that. Do you think the Christian community is going to stand by and let that happen?
Oh, Perry, now we're treading into territory that, whoa. I will tell you,
some of them will be behind it, like the Methodist Church and PCA USA. I mean, some of them, I think, almost passed a divestment resolution, very close to it. PCA USA, if they haven't.
Yeah, they did. They actually did for the first time this summer. Passed.
She tells me.
Yeah. You're still thinking of last year where they couldn't. They didn't. They did. The Presbyterian Church USA did pass the divestment, and it was by a slim margin. But there are Presbyterians who are coming out who have actually cut themselves away from the PCUSA, and they formed their own church now who believes that Israel has rights to the land. It's a small group, but, you know, we're seeing some positive things coming out like that, Perry. But, you know, the bottom line is if Christians are unwilling to defend Israel and her rights to her ancient homeland, then we're not going to be able to defend our rights here in the United States of America. It works hand in glove. You know, Christians, it says in the book of Galatians, Paul said that if you are in Christ, you are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Paul told the believers in Ephesus, you who were once outside of the commonwealth of Israel have been brought into the nation, into the commonwealth. So it's no surprise that the radical Islamists will categorize us as the Saturday people and the Sunday people, that they're coming first for the, you know, the pigs and then the apes, the great Satan and the little Satan. That's Christianity and Judaism. It's Israel and the United States.
Yeah. You know, we saw this past week, all the happenings in France, and then the world leaders show up, and there's Prime Minister Netanyahu right there locking arms and arms, but no, zero, zip representation from the United States. I can't help but think, even though they're trying to cover themselves as the result of that stupidity, I can't help but think that that sends a chilling message to Israel that we probably wouldn't stand with them if they had a terrorist attack.
You know, Barry, you're absolutely right. If it wasn't for the U.S. Congress, there would be no support for Israel. I think the Senate also, but the U.S. Congress has been the one, the House within our government in Washington, D.C., when the whole sanctions came up, when Obama was threatening sanctions, it was the U.S. Congress that demanded that the administration present evidence to substantiate that position. Like what Stan was talking about within the documentary film, all the legal documents. We have a law that is on the books here in the United States called the Lodgefish Resolution. It actually was passed in the same format in both the House and the Senate. And when a resolution in our laws is passed in the same format in both houses and the president signs it into law, that resolution becomes a federal law. That law is still on the books. It's still, and what that law did was it stated that Israel had an unequivocal right to be reconstituted back in her ancient homeland. Biblical ancient homeland. That is on our books every time, every administration, whether it's Obama, whether it's Bush, and even all the way back to his father. When our government pushes for a two-state solution, we are violating our own federal laws on the books.
Interesting.
Nobody knows that.
We're running out of time here, but I want to say to both of you, Stan and Laurie, thank you for your commitment to this. Thank you for sticking your neck out. Thank you for your tireless defense of what you stand for. You guys are wonderful. And I just want to say to our viewers and our listeners, you can go to pjtn.org. That's Proclaim Justice to the Nation. First of all, their website is an incredible resource. And you can also order there the DVD of Israel Indivisible. And I would certainly encourage you to do that. Have this in your library and show it, like Laurie said, around. I don't know what's next for you guys, but please hang in there. Don't give up. Stay at it. And are you going to be at the NRB?
Oh, absolutely. I hope we're going to see you there with Ambassador Bolton. Ambassador Bolton's a keynote speaker this year.
Yep, we'll see you there. I'm sure we will. Thank you both. Thank you, Stan. Good to see you again. Okay, God bless you. All right, and let me just remind our viewers and listeners that this is going to be aired on the Dove TV tonight. At 8 o'clock, we're going to show, there's two versions of it. We're going to show the longest version of it tonight, and it's at 8 o'clock. And so there's many places that you can pick it up. If you are a cable subscriber to Charter Cable, it'll be on Channel 18 there, and all three of the Southern Oregon counties, Jackson, Josephine, and over in Klamath. UHF Channel 18, it's on Roku, which is seen throughout the nation, literally around the world on Roku. And, of course, you can stream it at the Dove website, at thedove.us. That'll be happening tonight at 8 o'clock. And let me again encourage you, when you go to pjtn.org, support them. These people do a wonderful, wonderful work in support of Israel. And really, if it wasn't for some of their work, we wouldn't know about some of the things that we just were told by Laurie about those resolutions that are on the books. So anyway, support them, and there you also can get several copies and order as many as you want of the DVD, Israel Indivisible. All right, we'll show you a little bit of a promo of what's going to happen tonight, and let me encourage you to call your friends, text your friends, email your friends, watch the Dove TV tonight at 8 o'clock.
A one-night special presentation on the Dove TV. The story of the Jewish people, of those who lived and died to establish and hold the Holy Land.
This whole story is a miracle. The Jewish history is a miracle.
It is very clear that God made promises to Israel that he intends to keep.
Israel Indivisible, the case for the ancient homeland. 8 o'clock tonight on the Dove TV.
All right, that's tonight at 8 o'clock, so don't miss it. And again, if you can, tell many people as you can to watch it. And let me encourage you, go to their website, PJTN, and get a copy of it for yourself. See you next time.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.